today I am finally filming the FAQ video. So I think it was in December, maybe, I posted on both my IG stories and in the Facebook group asking for questions that you would like me to answer, be it personal, business, you know, Spaz related, which I do think I have some in here. And you guys did not disappoint. I have 6 pages of questions, big type, so that I can read them because hashtag 40 years old. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and just get started. Don't mind me looking down to read these. I could not even possibly memorize all them. I'm kind of anxious to see how the editing on this video goes too, so bear with me. If it's terrible, I will do another one again soon. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. You guys, there were a couple of questions that I got that I'm not going to answer. We'll get there when we get there. I may kind of explain why I'm not going to answer them, but yeah, so we are going to go ahead and get started. So first question is, how and when did you start with planners, and how did you discover stickers and that you could turn it into a business? So my first planner, quote planner experience was with bullet journaling, and I started that in 2015, and I did that for a couple years before going to a more regularly structured planner. I wanted the stickers to just kind of draw my attention to things. And if you guys know me, I'm like not at all a no white space planner. I like things to be very clean and streamlined. I do enjoy the decorative aspect of planning, but it needs to be functional for me more than anything else. So that's how I got started with planners. And then how did I discover stickers and that I could turn it into a business? Well, I think most of you know, but we actually have been in business since 2013 or 14. It was started in January, so one of those 2 years. And it was I started it as an Etsy shop where I could provide supplies for crafters. I had already had an Etsy shop doing jewelry and pinback buttons. Prior to that, I had some eBay experience. So I wanted something that was a little more lucrative where I could just pull things off of a shelf versus actually making things. As you can tell, that is not at all what it turned out to be. But I think one of the reasons that OUC has been successful is that I am willing to acclimate and change based on what customers are looking for. So in that supply shop, I made thank you stickers for people to put on their packaging, mainly geared towards small business Etsy shops. And those were my most popular supply items. So then I started adding more stickers, and then it got into making notebooks and foiling and doing favor tags and stickers and signs, and for a short bit we even did wedding invitations, etc. So I already had the business, and since we were already doing paper products, which I very quickly found out was something I was very passionate about. I always liked making things, I always liked designing things, but the paper aspect was where I really felt like I was finding my calling. And with the little pinback buttons and stuff that I used to make prior to that, it was just kind of a natural transition. And so moving from the event and stationery world and adding on the planner stickers just kind of came naturally. So hopefully that answers that. It was already a business. I just modified and added to include the planner stickers. So second question is, what's your favorite thing about being a shop owner, and what is your least favorite thing about owning a business? So hands down, my favorite thing about it is just the feeling of pride that I get from being successful at something. I am very much a workaholic, and when I go all in on something, I go really all in on it. I think the thing that I love the most about it, aside from the pride, is being able to provide jobs for people. You know, it's a small group. Everybody has flexible work hours. It's the perfect mom job. The girls come when they get their kids off to school, and they leave when they need to pick their kids up. So it's something that, while they're not making a killing, I mean, any of us really making a killing, they are able to help provide for their families, but still do the mom and wife and personal thing, and it doesn't interfere with that. At least I hope it doesn't. My least favorite things are anything HR related and anything having to do with taxes. While I am super flexible as a boss and very easygoing, I do have high expectations of, we're all adults here, we know what we need to do, we come in, we get the job done, and we have fun doing it. Luckily, I've not had many employees that don't understand that, but the few that I have had, terminating people has been my least favorite part. So third question, what did you do before OUC, before even the printing business prior to stickers? So my last corporate job, I worked in an optical lab. I was a customer service account for the high-end accounts that we had there at the lab. So I did mainly sunglass companies like Olay and Smith, Nike, Harley Davidson, etc. So I was in the customer service field, also in the optical field. I thought both of them were super interesting. Management changed when my daughter was a newborn. They unfortunately were not super breastfeeding friendly, and I had to really fight for my rights to be able to pump on my brakes and do things like that. So there were some changes in the company that kind of made me reassess what I wanted to do. And I knew that our daughter was going to be our last child, and so I decided to go ahead and resign and be a stay-at-home mom. And that lasted 2 or 3 weeks before I was like, yeah, no, I'm not cut out for this. So I just started sprinkling in a little tiny Etsy shop. It's the one I did where I did jewelry and pin back buttons just as something to do. And my goal was to be able to pay for daycare a couple days a week, 2 days a week, I think, so that my daughter could interact with other kids and so that I could get grocery shopping done. And then it ended up far surpassing that, to being so busy that my daughter ended up going to daycare full-time the year before she started preschool. So it was just kind of a natural thing. Again, when I go all in on something, I really go all in. Do you think you will do this forever? Yes, I do. I fully understand that a business has a life cycle just like a human does. If it goes beyond when I'm around, if my daughter wants to take it over, I'm fine with that. I'm also fine with closing the doors when I decide to retire. I'll never go back to the corporate world. Okay, so any chance you think about hiring remote employees, and if you ever start hiring for remote workers, what would they do? And do you think it will ever happen? I never say never about anything. I think I just try to be flexible and change and adapt as I can. I actually already have 2 remote workers. They are both local, so they will come in and help if possible. I've never had to call Lindsay in. She used to actually work in office, and a couple years ago she started homeschooling her kids. And when we talked and kind of worked through it, one of the requirements was, if I ever do need you to come into the office, can you and will you? And she said yes, and I said, fabulous, you still have a job then. So she works 100% remotely. Kim works about 90% remotely. She comes in whenever we need her, and right now with the growth that we have had, we use her anytime we have sales, and the last several weeks she's been coming in at least once a week to help with cutting and assembling and doing other random things that we need done. So that is awesome. Having a completely remote worker, somebody that maybe say lives in California, would be a little harder. We do most of our training in person, so Lindsay and Kim were both trained here with me. I don't know. I feel like being here and experiencing the shop and the process would make that a lot easier if it was somebody that lived local. Okay, what was your worst experience with a customer? So this is one of the questions that I was like, I don't really think I'm gonna answer that. I think that while I do get frustrated with customers on a rare occasion, mainly it's the event side of the business. I try to remember that those event customers are trying to plan, their wedding day, and it's the most important day in their life, as in that season of their life. And so I try to understand that there's a lot of anxiety and stress associated with that, and so I'm very easily able to just cut it off at the end of the day and wake up the next day and just realize that I can't please everybody. So the next question is, what are your normal working hours and how much time do you dedicate to OUC? So oddly enough, this is the first week that I'm actually tracking it. I wanted to track it in my Hobonichi cousin, so it is Thursday today. I've done between 10 and 11 hours of work each day this week. Pre-renovation time, I would usually work about 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the shop. In the mornings, I generally will check overnight messages and maybe check in with the socials while I am drinking my coffee. We do get up at 4 a.m. Some mornings I will kind of scroll at my phone till about 4:30 before getting up, but I've already been awake for an hour and a half, so I will take my shower and head into the shop, usually 6:30. With the renovation and Jason joining the team here, I have been staying until at least 5 o'clock every day. He comes at 4 and gets some things done. Last night I didn't leave until 5:30. I do not in any way ever complain about that, except when I know that I need a mental health day. Weekends are a little bit different. Since renovation time, I have been here both days of the weekend every week for months, and that's okay too. That's just the season that we're in here at the business. I don't mind it. Usually on Sunday it's a lighter day for me. If I don't work on Sunday, the only thing I have to do is run payroll, which takes me all of 10 minutes, and I am done and can enjoy my Sunday. And I take my Sunday rest day very seriously. I do, some housekeeping and some laundry, and I spend a lot of time on the couch, and it's kind of my weekly reset time. What goals and milestones do you have for OUC? So most of my goals for 2023 are very numbers related, make a certain amount of income, keep the website growing, keep a certain number in the bank account, that kind of thing. I tend to, while I don't like numbers at all, I'm not a math person, I tend to use those orders, the numbers, like how many orders are shipping out today, what was our sales total for last week. I use those to kind of guide what needs done with the business. Are we stagnant? Do we need to come out with something else? Do we need to try something new? Are we so busy that we don't know our heads from our backsides? Do we need somebody else in here, etc.? So I try to be flexible. I do have some goals that are not number related that I'm going to keep to myself for now, but just know that there are big things coming. Would you ever think of branching out and creating a planner? So this is something that we have actually been discussing for years. Everything that we do here is in-house. The only things that we outsource are actual products like the albums, washi tape, etc. But everything else is done 100% in-house. If we ever created a planner, it would be done 100% in-house. So sourcing some of the bindery machinery for that is the next step in doing that. I'm not putting a timeline on it. My dad is a rigger, so he moves heavy machinery and printing presses and the like, so he's got a lot of colleagues in the business, so when the right deal comes along for the machines that we need to do that, we would definitely think about doing that. Okay, so when did you get into planning and what planner was your first? So I kind of talked about this in the first question, but bullet journaling was my first introduction into planning, and I used like Amazon stencils and some just generic Michaels or Joann's Fabrics washi tape. I didn't really get into decorating too much. I think that my first commercialized planner was a recollections planner from Michael. Next questions is a whole list of questions about Spaz. Is Spaz your only fur baby? She is not. I have 2 dogs that live at the house with me, obviously. Okay, so does Spaz live entirely at the shop, or does she travel back and forth to home with you? She does not come home with me. She did during quarantine. Having an animal in the shop has always brought me so much joy, and you guys know from Instagram, I love to show pictures of Spaz. So she does stay here. I come and check on her every day. On a random Sunday, if I don't come in, you know, she's got her food and water and litter box, and she's actually quite happy here by herself. All about Spaz. How did she become the shop owner? Her shop name, age, origin, where she potties, why is she kind of mad most of the time? And then this one said, I love it when she shows up on videos slapping stickers. She is just so ornery that you can't help but love her. I think her sassy attitude is, I'm keep looking because she's looking at me over in the window. So she just brings us so much joy. Okay, so age and all of that. She is, I believe, 4 now. We rescued her as a kitten from a local rescue. One of my requirements was that it be a female, and because we have all girls here, so that's just the way it's gonna roll. I'm gonna keep it that way until Jason came in. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But so when she sent me an orange tabby that was a female, which I thought, you know what, this was meant to be an orange cat from Orange Umbrella, who is a female. So we rescued her right away. Her litter box is down in the garage. We keep that away from all of the things. All right, so how many planners do you currently own and use, be it for actually planning or just for kit sizing and testing? But we have 45 planners here at the shop. Currently, I'm using 3, which is overkill. What is your favorite OUC kit, OUC has ever done? I think I'm gonna pick collection 119, which was spring rainbows, but it was an orange and blue spring kit. It had umbrellas in it, but that was a really hard question, and I actually had to stew it for a very long time. What is your personal favorite planner to use of all the ones you've ever owned? Until 2022, the Erin Condren 8.5 by 11 teacher planner. How the hell are you ninjas so freaking awesome? I don't know, but I am so blessed. I have just the absolute best work crew. Okay, so what inspires you to push through the hard days when you just do not want to deal with all of this? Hands down, my husband. So he has more faith in me than I do in myself. It's gonna make me emotional. He has always believed in me, and I could not do it without him. I actually had to stop that and get myself together because it's also Shark Week, so it doesn't ever help anything. I'm not an emotional person, but my husband is, I could not do it without him. He is just my biggest cheerleader. He has been since day one. Somebody asked, why did you do this to yourself? Meaning the FAQ. So I don't know. This is like probably the hardest video I've ever filmed, just because I am a relatively private person, but it really is not as bad as I thought it would be. Minus the last question. Whoever submitted that one, you're on my shit list. All right, so what do you have to do, routine or not, that makes your days more smooth? Personally, I need quiet time in the morning. Like I need to hatch. That's what Lindsay and I always say. We're hatching in the morning, and oddly enough, since I just talked about how much I love my husband, there are many, many, many days where I tell him, it's time for you to go to work now, because he just wants to talk. The second his head lifts off the pillow, there are words coming out of his mouth. So that, for me personally, I need quiet time in the morning to get my thoughts together and wake up and hatch. So for work, Melanie, she needs to be able to come in, have all her emails and the messages cleared out, and I need to have everything ready for the girls to run smoothly. So for me, that means coming in, and first thing I do is get the cutters running and get everything printed that we either need for that day or for Ashley for her cutting. And once I get that done, I feel like I can tackle anything I need to do that is day specific. Where did the name OUC come from, and do you still do the wedding portion of your business? Yep, already talked about that. We still do the wedding and stationery side of the business, and that is not going anywhere anytime soon. The name Orange Umbrella Company was totally random. Why do most of your kits have pink if it's not your favorite color? There are 2 questions on this list that I specifically remember who posted. The why did you do this to yourself was from Dawn Peters, and this is from Jessica Hudson. I don't know. I don't know why pink is in most of our kits. I think because people love pink. It's been established that I am not people. I am okay with that, but people like it. We will continue to make it and they will buy it. Do you take a vacation other than a quick weekend getaway, and who's in charge of the shop? So nobody is in charge of the shop when I leave. Everybody has their own routine, their own job tasks and everything. So everybody works independently. They know what they need to get done, and everybody else is here to assist if somebody has a problem. So do you ever take a vacation other than a quick weekend getaway? I am not a good traveler. I like my bed, I like my things, I like my comfort, I like my routine. I think the last really long vacation we took was probably to Mexico, probably about 5 years ago. And I loved it, and it was fun, and I was so glad to be home. So a weekend getaway kind of gets me out of working a lot and gives me a chance to take a break and make memories and do things that are fun, but it's also enough for me. That's why the camping and riding thing is so good for us, and it fits as a family because we are able to do multiple weekends away a year and take a break. Did you run the business from your house before buying your building, and was there another location? So when we moved into our current house in 2013, I made the formal dining room into my office. And when we started expanding, we expanded into the living room. When we grew out of the living room, we expanded into the basement. Once the basement was fully OUC and the living room and the dining room, it started interfering with my personal life more than I wanted it to. And so we started looking at commercial spaces to rent. And that is one of the reasons I teared up when talking about Jason, because he did not want to rent a building and just kind of throw that money away. So I was a little worried about, am I ready for this? Granted, it takes up a ton of space in my house, but the house is being paid for by personal finances. So to add on that extra expense for a business is scary. So we ended up creating a real estate business so that we could purchase the building. This building is like 3 miles from my house, and it was for sale, and we did not have the down payment. The down payment to purchase a commercial building is much larger than what you have to put down to purchase a home. So the people that were selling it actually let us lease it if we put half of the down payment into an earnest account. And if we decided not to purchase, that would have become theirs. And if we did purchase, which we did, it would have just gone towards the down payment. Those 2 guys that owned this building before us were just absolutely amazing, and I'm so glad that they took the chance on a small business to thrive. So we have been here 6 years. I think this fall will be 7. So it has been quite a journey. Does each designer pick art, or do you choose art as a team for kits? We do not choose them as a team. We don't have brainstorming sessions, things like that. Kim will pick some of her stuff. I give her a direction to go in, and there's a lot of it that I supply for her. Lindsay will also hand pick the art for her kits. She sends them to me for approval prior. I actually did a lot of pre-planning for 2023, and I actually have kits available and ready for the entire year. It's just picking which ones we actually want to do. So I've been picking her kits for her this year, not as a control issue, but picking kits is actually our least favorite task. So Lindsay is happy to just be like, here's what you're doing for the next 6 weeks. You have a lot of standard processes. I love it. Do you have them all documented, or is it handed down through training only? I am very much a production girl at heart from my corporate job in the optical and being in a lab, knowing that everything has a place and a process, so that while a customized item like a prescription eyeglass for somebody can be very personal, it's all done in the same manner. And so that was an absolutely priceless place for me to work, to learn about the production process. So everything here has a process, while there are sometimes the odd ones out. So the more that you can cut down on guesswork and humans kind of putting their opinion into something, the more profitable the business is going to be. There's very little room for guessing here. Like, everything has a process. You pull the pick list, you pull the sheets, you pull the orders, you match the orders up. So everything here is very streamlined. This business would not be profitable if we didn't have those specific processes. Everybody has things written down. Everybody has their own training book. Everybody has their own, we call them the OUC Bibles, so they have their own cheat sheets and that sort of thing. I do not have a company-wide book, simply because things change, and because we evolve and change, it would be a whole nother part-time job for somebody to keep that updated. I have a ton, like, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of gigabytes of training videos for the girls that are all computer related. The hands-on training is done in a hands-on method. So any chance that you will use, or that you will make Hobonichi Weeks kits? Yes, so that is on my radar for the mid-year reformats. Every kit that we add on, we have to take one away. So the first half of the year will determine which kits we decide to discontinue. In my opinion, it will probably be the Passion Planner, and then we will put the Hobonichi Weeks kits in that place. What kind of printer do you use to print your stickers, and how much ink or toner do you go through in a month? So I don't talk about models or specifics on my printers. We have two. We have a digital press downstairs. It's a 5-color press that is used for the stationery products and for our clear stickers that we do for the favor side of the business. The ink and toner is all included in our service contract. Toner bottles are literally about 18 inches long. They're about this round, and we have to replace them once every couple months. Upstairs for the planners, we use inkjet. So we have a big commercial inkjet printer for our planner stuff. Those ink cartridges are also about 18 inches longer. They're very thin. They cost about $300 to $500 depending on the color for the ink, and I have to change those out about every 2 months, I would say. And yeah, so that pretty much answers that. I think that is actually the end of it. This was not as bad as I thought it was gonna be, and I'm glad I finally got to film it. My apologies for taking so long with it. If you guys want to leave any other additional questions down below that I may not have answered, I will start compiling them to do another one of these, hopefully sooner rather than later. If you stuck around the whole time, I super appreciate you listening to me talk, and thank you for understanding my emotional moment. Until next time, take care.